The fluorescent lights of the mall hummed softly above, illuminating the gleaming floors with a clinical radiance. I adjusted my sunglasses, but they offered little refuge from the heat that was steadily creeping up my neck. My heart pounded within my chest, a frantic creature seeking escape from its confines. He found himself in a place he never intended to be, and yet there he stood, a figure woven into the fabric of the tale. Liam, my young companion. At 21, he stood there, that infuriatingly confident smirk playing on his lips, casually leaning against the railing of the food court as if he had been waiting just for me. His dark eyes captured mine, and in that one breathtaking moment, time itself seemed to freeze. In that moment, I ought to have pivoted, stepped back, and feigned ignorance of his presence, yet I chose not to, and that was the moment I realized. I found myself adrift, wandering without a sense of direction, and so, the tale unfolds. Just 3 days prior, my existence had unfolded in the usual manner, or at least the meticulously crafted facade of normalcy. In the tapestry of my life, I was Diane Carter, a woman of 43, bound in marriage to a successful yet emotionally distant lawyer. I wore the mantle of stepmother to a young man who had navigated the trials of growing up far too swiftly beneath my roof. On paper, all was as it should be. A grand abode nestled in the suburbs, lavish charity galas, and delightful weekend brunches with friends who admired my seemingly flawless marriage. Yet, the flames consume the paper, and thus, secrets unfold. Begun with a humble beginning, a gaze that hangs in the air, the manner in which Liam would extend his limbs after completing his morning run. His shirt clung to his torso, and I feigned indifference, though my eyes betrayed me. I reassured myself that it was merely a trivial matter, simply a sense of maternal pride. Yet, I was not his mother, and the musings that danced through my mind, they lacked a nurturing instinct. The initial fracture, the clash with my husband, Richard, marked the pivotal moment. "You're never here," I snapped, my fingers tightening around the wine glass. "Your preference leans towards engaging with your clients over sharing moments with your own wife." He remained completely absorbed in his phone, not even glancing up. "Diane, not this again. You understood the expectations of my profession when we exchanged vows." That was the crux of the issue. I had known. Yet, I was unaware of the profound solitude that awaited me. Liam stood in the doorway that night, a quiet observer, taking in every moment. In due time, he presented me with a cup of tea, crafted to my liking, and spoke. "He is not worthy of your light." The manner in which he expressed it. It lacked warmth. It was perilous, the tale of the mall incident, and so, here I find myself once more in the present moment. It was never in my plans to find myself at the mall. There I was, meant to be indulging in a spa day, surrendering to the soothing touch of a massage, all while weaving a tale that my marriage was still intact. But then, I laid my eyes upon her. Richard, the one who always chuckled a bit too heartily at his own tales. In her hands, she cradled a shopping bag from the store he cherished most. And that was the moment Liam stepped into the scene, in pursuit of another. His voice carried a soft, playful lilt. "Leap. What brings you to this place?" "Just like you, I suppose." His eyes darted toward Richard's assistant, in search of clarity. The atmosphere surrounding us grew dense. I ought to have turned and left, yet, in that fleeting moment, his fingers grazed against mine. For just a fleeting moment, something deep within me broke free. "The moment when the path ahead becomes irrevocable, we ought to have a conversation," he whispered. In a hidden place, away from prying eyes, every logical whisper urged me to decline. Yet, the solitude, the frustration directed at Richard, the way Liam gazed at me as if I were a treasure beyond compare, it all wove itself into a tapestry of recklessness. He was pursued. And that was the moment I stepped over a threshold I could never return from. The bustling food court echoed with lively chatter, joyful giggles of children, the heated exchanges of couples, the rhythmic clatter of trays. In that instant, the only sound that reached my ears was the relentless thrum of my own heartbeat. Liam's fingers had just brushed against mine, yet my skin ignited with the memory of his touch. "We must converse," he had proclaimed. In a hidden corner of the world. And like a simpleton, I had acquiesced. As I trailed behind him to the mall's hidden exit, a flurry of excuses danced through my mind. "This is not what it appears to be. We're simply sharing words. He is my stepson, for heaven's sake." Yet, the reality held a peril far beyond what was imagined. Liam's vehicle sat quietly in the distant corner of the garage, shielded from curious gazes. A sleek black Audi, a symbol of achievement and celebration, gifted to him by Richard on the momentous occasion of his graduation. The irony was not lost on me. I slipped into the passenger seat, my hands quivering with anticipation. The atmosphere within was heavy with the lingering aroma of his cologne, something shadowy and earthy. There was something uniquely striking about the sterile aftershave that Richard donned. Are you all right? Liam inquired, his voice now a gentle whisper. I gulped with difficulty. It seems I find myself in the wrong place. He twisted the key in the ignition, yet he remained still, not pulling away. Instead, he gazed at me, truly gazed at me, and said, yeah, you shouldn't. A pause, heavy with unspoken words. Yet, you truly are. The heaviness of those words bore down on me. It's a mystery how it all unfolded. Perhaps it was the way he gazed at me, as if he held the key to every hidden truth I had ever guarded. Perhaps it was the long years of solitude, of feeling unseen within the confines of my own marriage, or perhaps it was something more sinister, something I was reluctant to acknowledge. Yet, the words flowed forth before I could rein them in. Last week, I caught your gaze upon me, I whispered softly. As I found myself in the kitchen. There you were, standing still for what felt like an eternity, his jaw clenched with intensity. I never imagined you were aware. I observe it all, a perilous revelation. His fingers danced rhythmically against the steering wheel. What other observations have you made, Diane? The way he uttered my name, neither mom nor stepmom. Simply Diane. As if we stood on the same ground. As if this were something it could never become. I observed the glances you cast my way on occasion. I whispered, my voice barely rising above a hush. It feels as though anticipation hangs in the air, as if you're on the brink of a revelation. He simply accepted it. The atmosphere surrounding us crackled with an undeniable tension, infused with a sense of the taboo. I ought to have turned the handle and stepped through the threshold. I ought to have fled, yet I chose not to. Instead, I allowed him to extend his hand. Let his fingers gently caress my cheek, allow him to gently guide my face toward his. Please, tell me to stop, he whispered softly. I did not, and then, the blare of a car horn pierced through the tranquility of the moment. We pulled away suddenly. A minivan raced by, its driver unaware of the close call that had just unfolded. Liam let out a sharp breath, his fingers raking through his hair. This place isn't suitable for that. We cannot embark on this journey in any other place, I declared. Yet, the protest resonated with a certain frailty, even to my own listening heart. He reclined, his gaze firmly fixed on me. There's a shadow of discontent lingering within you. It was a statement of certainty. It's a tale woven with intricacies, I said. It is not, his voice resonated with strength. Richard turns away from you. In the quiet moments, a sense of solitude envelops you, and I? He let his words hang in the air, the meaning unmistakable. I shut my eyes. This is incorrect. Indeed, he consented. Yet, that certainly doesn't imply we'll cease our journey, does it? There was no response, for he was indeed correct. As we journeyed home, the air was thick with unspoken words. The burden of what nearly transpired lingered in the air, oppressive and heavy. As he rolled into the driveway, he noticed Richard's car was already waiting there. I donned a smile, settling back into my character as if it were an old, familiar garment. Behave as you usually would, he said with a sly grin. What does it mean to be normal? And just like that, the moment slipped away. As we stepped into the house, we moved in unison, side by side. Two individuals who had just ventured beyond a boundary they could never return from. And Richard, he remained blissfully unaware. That evening, as we gathered around the dinner table, I noticed Liam's gaze fixed upon me from the other side. A deliberate, understanding gaze that sent a flutter through my stomach. Richard, lost in his own world, spun a tale about a case at work. Diane, you seem rather subdued this evening, he remarked, at last acknowledging my stillness. Exhausted, I spun a tale. Liam's foot lightly grazed against mine beneath the table. I almost found myself gasping on my wine. In the dim light of the kitchen, Liam approached me, his demeanor serious. We need to talk, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. Not here, I whispered, casting a furtive glance toward the living room where Richard lingered. And then, where shall we go? His gaze pierced through me, for I shall not feign that this event did not unfold. I prepared to voice my disagreement. And then, in a moment that felt almost magical, Richard called my name. Diane, might I inquire about the whereabouts of the dessert? Liam wore a sly grin. Rescued just in the nick of time. As I took my leave, a singular truth settled in my mind. The tale was far from finished. Nowhere near. The following week unfolded in a blur of furtive looks and electrifying anticipation. Each moment in that house was akin to a delicate dance on a tightrope. One misstep, and the entire world would unravel before our eyes. Richard wandered through his thoughts, completely unaware. Engrossed in his craft, Liam observed with keen interest. And so, the moment stretched on, filled with anticipation, on a Thursday. It all began. Richard found himself away from home, engaged in a deposition. Once more, a journey unfolds under the stars, and once again, solitude wraps around me like a familiar cloak. I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't go down that path, that I would retreat to my room, immerse myself in a book, and retire early for the night. But then, a sudden buzz from my phone interrupted the moment. Once upon a time, there was a character named Liam. Descend to the lower level. 3 words, that was all it required. I tiptoed into the living room, my heart pounding in my chest. He lounged on the couch, enveloped in the soft, blue glow of the television. A partially filled beer bottle in his palm. You shouldn't text me like that, I whispered. What is the reason behind this? His gaze remained fixed on the screen, unwavering and intent. Fearful of being discovered indeed. At last, he shifted his gaze. Only we remain in this place. The atmosphere surrounding us grew dense. It remains a mystery who took the first step. In that fleeting moment, I found myself poised by the staircase, my arms crossed, a protective barrier against the world. In the next moment, his fingers encircled my wrist. He drew me down onto the couch beside him. Liam, be gone. His thumb danced in gentle circles over my pulse point. Simply take a seat beside me. It was a trial of sorts. Once upon a time, in a realm of adventure and excitement, there existed a game. And I found myself on the brink of defeat. The television murmured endlessly. Amidst the chaos of an action-packed spectacle, the air crackles with the sound of explosions and the sharp report of gunfire. Yet, all that captured my attention was the warmth of his thigh pressed against my own. This is a mistake, I murmured, my voice barely rising above a whisper, perhaps. He wore a sly grin. Yet, you remain present. At the stroke of midnight, Richard made his call. I pulled back from Liam as if a flame had singed my skin. Searching for my phone with a sense of urgency. Greetings, I replied, infusing my voice with a touch of brightness. How goes the deposition? Draining. Richard let out a weary breath. I simply long to listen to your voice. Guilt coiled within me, a dark and twisted knot. Indeed. Ah, how I long for your presence. Liam's fingers danced along my spine, sending a delightful shiver through me. Are you all right? Richard inquired. Only the chill, I deceived. It's time to lay your head down and drift into the realm of dreams. Tomorrow, I shall return home. Very well. Adore you. The words lingered on the tongue, reminiscent of burnt remnants. Just as I finished the call, I felt Liam's lips softly graze my ear. Your ability to deceive is quite lacking. Today's past. Richard found himself enveloped in the warm embrace of the shower. In the stillness of the house, a serene hush enveloped the space. Liam trapped me in the shadows of the fridge's glow, his form enveloping me completely. It's time for a conversation. What is it about? I murmured softly. This. And then our lips met, igniting a spark between us. It lacked sweetness. It was anything but gentle. It craved, calling out for recognition. My hands clenched in his shirt, drawing him nearer even as my mind shouted for me to halt. As he finally drew back, we found ourselves both gasping for breath. Go on, tell me you don't want this, he dared. Wasn't able to. We embraced our wild side. A gentle touch in the corridor. A subtle caress as Richard faced away. Captured whispers in vacant spaces, each one more perilous than the one before. Then, one fateful night, Richard almost stumbled upon us. I found myself pressed against the wall of the laundry room. We parted ways just as the moment demanded. There you are, Richard remarked, his eyes wide with surprise as he gazed upon us. What brings you both to this place? Liam spoke with a smooth cadence, recounting how Diane was guiding him through the process of using the new detergent. The tail of my shirts, forever marked by my clumsiness. Richard chuckled, giving him a hearty pat on the shoulder. Perhaps you should lend an ear this time. Young one. Once he departed, the playful grin that adorned Liam's face vanished. We must tread with greater caution. As I reclined in bed, my gaze drifted up to the ceiling above. What is it that I am embarking on? This was more than merely an affair. This was a tale of family. This was the offspring of the man I had wed. Yet, each time I attempted to break free, Liam drew me back in. Once, he whispered, his voice raw, you're the only thing that feels real, and with all my heart. I placed my trust in him. It was destined to unfold. This has to stop, I told him one afternoon, my voice trembling with emotion. It is not right, surely. You can't be serious. I do. He seized my arms. So, what draws you back time and again? There was silence. No response to be found. Then arrived the message that transformed it all. Liam, come find me at the lake house, where tales await to be spun and memories are ready to be woven into the fabric of our adventure. As the evening unfolds, or this concludes for good. My hands quivered as I crafted my response. Once upon a time, there was a singular soul. Richard is on his way back home. Once upon a time, there was a character named Liam. Then weave a tale. Once upon a time, in a land known as Oz. Liam. Unless you wish for me to reveal the truth to him, a chill coursed through my veins. That night, I shared with Richard that the first was destined for my sisters. He scarcely lifted his gaze from the mountain of paperwork before him. Travel with care. As I eased out of the driveway, a realization washed over me. The path forward was set, with no turning back. The path to the lake house unfolded before me, shadowy and serpentine. My knuckles gripped the steering wheel, pale and tense. My stomach twisted and turned with each passing mile. What am I crafting yet? The answer was already clear to me. In that moment, I found myself on the brink of the greatest error I could ever imagine. In a hidden embrace of nature, the lake house stood apart from the world. Richard's treasure and delight. The location he chose for weekend retreats with clients. Now, the scene was set for my treachery. Liam's car had already arrived. I parked beside it, my breath quickening with anticipation. Just as I was about to doubt my instincts, the front door burst open. He stood there, framed by the inviting warmth of the flickering flames in the fireplace. A bottle of wine cradled in his hand. "You came," he said, as if he had always known I would. "I had no choice in the matter," I whispered. He drew nearer, his hand gently grazing my cheek. "There is always a choice, Diane. Within the walls." The air was thick with the rich aromas of cedar and the lingering essence of smoke. The flames danced and whispered, their crackling a symphony of warmth and light, projecting dancing silhouettes upon the surfaces. I lingered by the door, arms traversed. "You issued a warning to me." I nudged you forward. He filled two glasses with wine, completely at ease. "You would never confess your desires unless I took the first step. This tale isn't centered on my desires." My voice trembled. "This is not right, Liam. Deep down, you understand it's not right." He savored a slow sip of wine, his gaze fixed on me from above the rim of his glass. "Then depart." Stillness, that's what I believed, he whispered softly. "It remains a mystery who made the first move." In that fleeting moment, I found myself poised by the door, a tempest of anger swirling within me. In the blink of an eye, I found myself enveloped in his embrace. His lips collided with mine, fierce and yearning. The wine glass slipped from my fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor, a moment frozen in time, echoing the fragility of the evening. We are already here. In the quiet of the night, I found myself wide awake, surrounded by a soft, muted glow. His arm lay comfortably over my waist. A gentle weight that spoke of closeness, the weight of guilt crashed over me, overwhelming like a tidal wave. "What have I done?" I propped myself up, wrapping the sheet snugly around me. "This must not occur once more," he supported. Propped up on one elbow, he studied me intently. "You've uttered those words on countless occasions. I truly mean it this time," he said with a sly grin. "Indeed, you do." As the first light of dawn began to unfold, I found myself pulling into my driveway. There it was. Richard's car, still parked in its familiar spot. He was completely unaware of my absence. I slipped inside, my body still resonating with the warmth of Liam's touch. "Good morning," Richard called from in the heart of the home, where aromas dance and flavors mingle, lies a space filled with warmth and creativity. "How fares your sister?" The deception lingered on the palate like a sour afterthought. "Very well," he nodded, lost in thought, his fingers gliding over the screen of his phone. "Liam ventures out at the break of dawn." He shared that he embarked on a run. My stomach knotted with unease. Liam arrived back an hour later, his body glistening with sweat and his breath coming in quick bursts. In the warm glow of the kitchen, our gazes intertwined, a silent connection sparking between us. Richard, unaware of the moment's weight, gave him a hearty pat on the back. "What a splendid journey." "Indeed," Liam remarked, his gaze fixed upon me. "Truly remarkable." As the days unfolded, the fabrications began to accumulate. Imaginary tasks, illusory gatherings of young women, deceptive grins for Richard. Yet, hidden truths possess an uncanny ability to emerge from the shadows. On a Sunday, it all began. Richard returned home early from golfing, finding me in the laundry room. As I folded Liam's shirt, my fingers danced over the fabric, savoring the moment. "Since when have you taken on the task of doing his laundry?" he inquired, a furrow forming on his brow. He requested my assistance, and I responded with haste. Richard's gaze sharpened. "Of late, your behavior has taken on an unusual hue." My heart raced with intensity. Feeling a bit weary, he regarded me intently for a prolonged moment before giving a casual shrug. "Very well." Yet, the seed of uncertainty had taken root. That evening, Liam found me in the hallway. A moment charged with unspoken tension. "We must converse," he murmured. "Not here," I whispered, casting a furtive glance at the door to our sanctuary. "Then, where shall we venture next?" His hold on my wrist grew firmer. "Because I'm finished with lurking in the shadows." "What do you mean?" His next words pierced the air, sending a chill coursing through my veins. "Share the tale with him, or I shall." As I lie awake next to my snoring husband, the weight of Liam's ultimatum reverberates in my mind. Share the truth with Richard, or pause, anticipating the moment when chaos descends. Regardless of the outcome, the chapter of my life as I understand it has come to a close. 3 days had slipped by since Liam's ultimatum. 3 restless nights, startled by every creak echoing through the house. Each lingering gaze from Richard that stretched just a heartbeat beyond the ordinary. I was coming apart at the seams. It unfolded in the garage. Richard had embarked on his journey to work. In the stillness of the house, silence enveloped every corner. As I was placing the groceries into the fridge, Liam's voice pierced the quietude. He remains unaware of the truth you hold. I chose not to look back. Time is a precious commodity, and I find myself in need of a little more of it. The hour has come to a close. You believe you can simply act as if this moment never unfolded. I'm at a loss for what steps to take next. My voice trembled. This will shatter him. Liam. Bring us to our end. A languid, malevolent grin twisted upon his lips. It's beyond the point for that now. Once more, Richard found his way back home before the sun had fully set. This time, he discovered us in the living room. Liam loomed nearby, and I found myself retreating. All is well. Richard's eyes danced between us. Very well, I managed to utter. Liam wore a sly grin. Diane was just sharing the joy that fills her heart. Richard's brow furrowed in thought. Very well. The air was thick with anticipation. That night, Richard turned in bed, observing me intently. What tale unfolds between you and Liam? My blood froze in my veins. What do you imply? Your behavior around him has been quite unusual. He rose to a sitting position. Did an event unfold? No. Swift as the wind, excessively loud, Richard's expression turned steely. Diane. It's merely a whisper, I said softly, yet the uncertainty lingered in the air. I ought to have brought it to a close instead. I encountered Liam at a humble motel on the fringes of town. This is the final moment, I declared as he pressed me against the door. Indeed, it is, he whispered softly against my neck. In the aftermath, as I reclined in that dimly lit chamber, a realization washed over me. I have no fondness for him at all. This wasn't about allure. It was a tale woven around power. About experiencing the warmth of recognition after enduring years of silence. And now. At that moment, I found myself ensnared. Liam leaned on one elbow, his fingers gently tracing the line of my collarbone. I shared the tale of our journey with my friend. I sprang to my feet. What do you mean? Take a breath. He smiled. He remained silent, unless I request it from him. I stumbled into the parking lot, my legs giving way as I leaned heavily against my car. Breathless and spent. Breathless and yearning for the sweet embrace of oxygen. This had transformed beyond mere infidelity. It was a tale of coercion. I reached out to Liam that night, my voice trembling. It's time for a conversation. In the flesh. At last, he dared to reveal the truth, his voice laced with a playful challenge. Simply come and find me. We gathered by the shimmering lake, the water reflecting the whispers of the wind. The very spot where this nightmare had intensified. You must cease this at once, I declared with conviction. Enough with the menacing words. Enough with the games. Liam smiled dimmed. Or what, indeed? Or I shall share all the details with Richard. For the first time, he appeared to waver. You simply wouldn't give me a chance. He retreated. Very well. Our journey has reached its conclusion. Once he knows, his gaze will shift, forever altered. That night, I found myself seated across from Richard at dinner, my heart racing with anticipation. It's time for a conversation. He gently placed his fork on the table. Very well, I inhaled deeply. And then, the tale unfolds. Once, the doorbell chimed, echoing through the stillness. It was Liam's companion, the one he had shared tales of us with. Hey, Mr. Carter, the kid said, his voice trembling slightly as he shifted from foot to foot. Liam entrusted me with this message for you. With a deliberate gesture, he extended an envelope to Richard. I could sense the essence within. No need to peer inside to grasp its secrets. Richard's complexion drained of color as he revealed the photographs. A parking lot at a motel. Once upon a time, there was a lake house. His hands trembled as he gazed upward, eyes fractured. Diane. The photos tumbled from Richard's grasp, cascading to the ground like autumn leaves surrendering to the breeze. The hush that enveloped the room was overwhelming. I parted my lips, yet silence enveloped me. What words could I weave into this moment? Liam's companion, a college student I had yet to encounter, shifted uncomfortably in the doorway before mumbling. I must take my leave. Richard appeared oblivious to his words. His eyes, typically so keen and intent, were now clouded and distant, as though he were struggling to grasp the reality of what had just unfolded before him. At last, Richard found his voice. His voice carried an unsettling tranquility. Leave now. I found myself uncertain whether his words were directed at me, at Liam's friend, or perhaps at both of us intertwined in the moment. The child dashed away, leaving me rooted to the spot, unable to move. Richard, I get gone. This time, his voice shattered the silence like a clap of thunder. I found myself teetering, my legs struggling to keep me upright. What unfolded was not the tale that was meant to be told. I was about to share my tale with him. I was about to share my tale, yet at this moment. At that moment, words failed to convey the essence of the situation. For hours, I wandered the roads, lost in thought, until I found myself at a modest motel nestled along the highway. The air was thick with the sharp scent of bleach mingling with the lingering traces of cigarettes. The sheets rasped against my skin. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Liam, you really didn't believe I would just let you slip away, did you? I hurled my phone across the room. The following morning, Richard received a call from his lawyer. Carter is embarking on the journey of filing for divorce. He stands ready to embark on a legal journey. Should you choose to challenge the terms laid before you. Legal proceedings. My voice was raspy, a testament to the tears I had shed. For what purpose? Infidelity. Heartfelt turmoil. Considering the circumstances surrounding your situation, he might push for additional concessions. The silent menace lingered in the atmosphere. What we have here has the potential to unravel into quite the tale of intrigue. Whispers spread swiftly through our circle of friends. As the week drew to a close, the murmurs began to circulate. Have you heard the tale of Diane? Richard must be heartbroken. My so-called friends have turned their backs and ceased to answer my calls. My sister has cut off communication with me. As I stepped into my familiar coffee shop, even the barista cast a glance my way, filled with a hint of sympathy. I was a force of nature, glowing with an energy that could not be contained. There I was, poised in the stillness of the night, outside Liam's apartment at the witching hour. My hand lifted, ready to rap on the door. In that moment, I paused. What am I weaving into the fabric of my day? This was not love. This had transcended mere desire. This was a tale of self-destruct. I pivoted and made my exit. A letter was sent to Richard, not a justification, merely an explanation. Merely an expression of regret. He remained silent. 6 months later, the scene unfolded at the courthouse, where the final divorce hearing was set to take place. He wore a sly grin upon catching sight of me. Long for me, I strolled right by him. The judge bestowed upon Richard all that he desired. Once there was a house, a pair of cars, and a collection of investments. I received a modest settlement, just enough to begin a new. As I signed the papers, Richard leaned in and shared a secretive whisper. I trust it was a valuable experience. It was not. Now, a year has passed, and I find myself residing in a cozy one-bedroom apartment on the fringes of the city. I toil away at a job that fills me with disdain. In the stillness of the night, I find myself in solitude, embraced by the quiet darkness. At times, Richard catches my eye in the headlines. Elevated in his career, he beams at a charity gala, radiating warmth and joy. At times, I catch a glimpse of Liam wandering from bar to bar with his friends, embracing the vibrant spirit of a carefree 20-something. And I am merely the lesson learned. A woman cast aside all she held dear for a fleeting lapse in judgment. A woman discovered in the twilight of her journey that certain boundaries are sacred and must remain unbroken. The tale of Diane unfolds as a gripping cautionary narrative, revealing the devastating impact of temptation, the irrevocable fallout of betrayal, and the delicate nature of trust within relationships. At its heart, the tale reveals how unbridled emotional openness and isolation can drive one to disastrous choices, particularly when influenced by those who take advantage of frailty for their own gain. Diane's entanglement with her stepson Liam was never genuinely rooted in love or passion. In a moment of desperation, she sought to bridge the chasm created by her emotionally distant husband, Richard. What began as a quest for validation soon unraveled into a journey of self-destruct. This tale highlights the notion that moral boundaries, once transgressed, remain forever altered, and that the chase for ephemeral desires frequently demands a heavy toll on all that is truly significant in life. Honor, kinship, and personal worth. A crucial lesson emerges from the intricate web of power dynamics in forbidden relationships, especially those entwined with familial connections or marked by significant age differences. Liam's cunning, shifting from gentle flirtation to brazen blackmail, reveals the ease with which vulnerability can be twisted, transforming what appeared to be a shared spark into a snare with no way out. Diane's slow descent into chaos reflects the complexities of real-life scenarios where affairs, particularly those marked by imbalance, often result not in freedom but in a web of entrapment. The tale also underscores the certainty of revelation. Whispers of hidden truths, no matter how tightly held, possess an uncanny ability to emerge, frequently revealing themselves in the most heart-wrenching ways. Richard's revelation of the affair, unveiled through photographs brought by Liam's friend, serves as a stark reminder of the relentless and unavoidable essence of truth. Once unveiled, it dismantles facades and compels responsibility. In the wake of the affair, the tale unfolds with themes of divorce, social ostracization, financial ruin, and emotional isolation, painting a vivid picture of the far-reaching consequences that ripple out from a moment of weakness. Diane's descent from a revered wife to an outcast paints a vivid picture of society's unforgiving nature, especially when faced with moral missteps that challenge established norms. Her struggle to piece together her life in the aftermath of the scandal reveals the deep scars left by betrayal, affecting not only those around her but also her own perception of who she is. The narrative also examines the deceptive nature of control within forbidden relationships. Diane thought she could navigate the situation with subtlety, but she soon discovered, too late, that Liam wielded all the control, exploiting her vulnerability until she found herself with nothing remaining to lose. At its core, the tale delves into the intricate emotions of guilt, regret, and the elusive nature of genuine redemption when certain boundaries have been irrevocably crossed. Diane's earnest effort to reach out to Richard, only to be met with silence, illustrates the profound truth that some wounds run too deep to heal, and certain trusts are forever lost. In her ultimate solitude, the isolating grip of shame reveals itself, transforming her into a mere specter of who she once was, forever haunted by the life she discarded. In the midst of it all, Liam's indifference and nonchalant resumption of his everyday existence highlight the stark imbalance of repercussions in these matters. As Diane's world crumbles around her, he strides forward untouched, highlighting the harsh and familiar truth that women frequently endure the weight of societal scrutiny in the wake of scandals. In the end, the tale unfolds as a stark reminder of the vital need for boundaries, self-awareness, and the bravery to face marital discontent head-on rather than resorting to harmful distractions. Had Diane embraced the power of connection, sought guidance through therapy, or even chosen a sincere parting, the course of her life could have unfolded in a different light. Instead, her decision to pursue validation through the most taboo means imaginable brought about an irreversible downfall. This narrative serves as a cautionary fable, revealing the alluring deception that certain secrets may remain hidden indefinitely, and that some dangers are worth the gamble. Ultimately, it reminds us that the cost is invariably greater than one might expect. The last glimpse of Diane, solitary and unseen, serves as a poignant reminder that certain missteps shape our identities eternally, and that the chase for fleeting satisfaction can exact a toll on a lifetime of joy. The narrative also brings forth moral inquiries regarding responsibility. Though Diane bears responsibility for her choices, the shadow of Liam's predatory behavior and Richard's emotional neglect weaves a more intricate tale, hinting that betrayal often dances in shades of gray. In the unfolding drama, it becomes clear that society often chooses to cast the woman as the villain, as Diane finds herself alone in the crosshairs of disdain while Liam escapes unscathed. This double standard serves as a poignant reflection on the ways in which gender shapes our perceptions of moral shortcomings. In conclusion, the essence of the tale's lesson is unmistakable when one succumbs to temptation, casting aside thoughts of the aftermath. It does not pave the way to liberation but instead weaves a web of bondage. Once shattered, trust remains beyond repair. Once tarnished, a reputation remains forever altered. Integrity stands as the sole protector against the perils of downfall. Unwavering resolve to turn away from fleeting pleasures in favor of enduring righteousness. Diane's tragedy unfolds not merely through her affair, but in her inability to see her own value until it was too late. A cautionary tale for those who might confuse desperation with desire, jeopardizing everything for a momentary glimpse of happiness.